Earlier this week, former Fed chairs, Treasury secretaries, and economic leaders rallied in defense of Chair Powell by issuing a joint statement supporting Fed independence. One of those signatories joins us now to discuss. Jack Lew is a former U.S. Treasury secretary, former U.S. ambassador to Israel, currently a Columbia University professor of international and public affairs. Well, what was your reaction to all this, Secretary Lew?
Good to see you, Sarah. I think the whole idea of trying to pressure the Federal Reserve Board through these kinds of judicial investigations is very troubling. The independence of the Fed is one of the underpinnings of our economy. That's why so many all of the living former Fed chairs, so many former Treasury secretaries, central bankers around the world have all come out to say, as we did in that statement, that this is just not an acceptable way for the United States to treat the central bank. We know the experience of when central banks feel pressured by political forces. We've seen it in developing countries. You just look at the inflation rate in countries where political pressure has led to interest rates. You don't need to go beyond Turkey to see the kind of damage it can do. So the basis for the questions, totally fair to ask questions about the cost of federal building. To criminalize an investigation like this is just completely without basis.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because, you know, some will say, well, nobody's above the law. The Fed chair shouldn't be above the law. You shouldn't be allowed to, you know, misrepresent testimony before Senate banking, all of that. That's why I tried to really dig into the transparency of what the Fed has actually provided on this front.
Yeah, look, I thought that your recap was very helpful because most people are just kind of skipping over that. As anyone who's worked on a renovation of a federal building, a historic building on the mall, there are going to be a lot of things that are expensive, that are hard to explain. And you wouldn't expect for the detail of all of the construction to be in the testimony of any senior level official. The kind of submission that you showed is where the details are normally provided. So I didn't see anything in what you did in the introduction that's different from any other major federal renovation project. I will say it's a little bit ironic that just weeks after we've seen the demolition of part of the White House with no clear plan for how to replace it, that somehow questions about federal buildings are being the subject of a criminal of the Fed.
Yeah, well, people haven't connected those dots. So where does this leave us, Secretary Lew? You know, the whole crazy thing about all of this, as I've been saying, is that the White House has been getting what it wants. It's been getting lower interest rates. It's getting a chance to nominate a new Fed chair and potentially another vacant seat on the Board of Governors. It's getting an economy that is really picking up momentum and working well. Jobless claims today under 200,000. What do you think this does to all that?
I think the decisions the Fed are making should continue to be based on the data, which is making the calls very close right now in terms of the competing considerations about job growth and unemployment and inflation. I think they've been moving cautiously, which is correct in my view. It's not as fast as some of those in the administration, including the president, would like. But I think the Fed has to make those decisions based on its best judgment. By definition, on a close call, people will not always have the same view. And it's dangerous if we get to the point where the Fed feels pressured to make a decision not based on economic data, but based on political pressure or legal threats.